Hey friends, it is Courtney here, your psychic medium and spiritual advisor here on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. Thank you for watching. I am so excited to be here with you guys tonight. It's Wednesday and we see you here every Wednesday. We've got a really cool podcast tonight. We're coming to you live like most Wednesdays. And tonight we're going to talk about music. We're going to talk about frequency and think of the words. Think of the words that you're listening to, think of the words that you're playing back and forth when you're singing those songs. We are going to dive so deep into that. I hope that you'll jump in with me. But before we do, take a good deep breath in, big exhale out, and we're going to protect our energy. We're going to call on those guides and angels. So guides and angels on our right, guides and angels on our left, guides and angels in front, guides and angels in back to balance and harmonize our time here, leaving us in the light and allow nothing but the highest, truest, or the best to manifest upon us now. I see some people, I see Teeters. I see you there, my friend. So many of you guys come back time and time again. Jennifer Teeters is in my VIP inner circle. We're going to jump on live there tonight. So after this podcast, when we're done, we are going to do a live intention setting. And so this is something I used to do weekly so many years ago, and I've kind of fallen short on this, but we're going to go in again tonight. We're going to start doing this on a more reoccurring basis. I'm going to say every week after the podcast, we're going to jump in that VIP inner circle. And so for those of you who are not one of those members, go to CourtneyKaneSides.com after the podcast. I'm going to put it here for you and jump on that VIP inner circle. It's going to be in offerings on that website and become a member. It's like $11 a month. So it's nothing. And you're going to get so many awesome perks with being in that amazing group. We meet twice a month for an hour and a half, connecting with our guides and angels. We have thought leaders coming through from across the world with brilliant knowledge. And of course, we connect to your loved ones on the other side and all of that there in that group. So tonight, guys, how many of you know a little something about hertz and frequencies? How many of you are really sensitive? Give me some emojis here in the comments. I love it. Rod says, who has $11? I know, right? We need to jump on Kika's podcast and learn how to manifest it, right? Let's manifest it, Rod. Let's get to work and figure it out. Let's not have that coffee and let's jump into something that's going to give back to us energetically. And if it doesn't work for you, Rod, maybe we can host you in that group at some point, my friend. So guys, look at that. Many of you guys understand frequency. You understand words. So tonight we're going to dive into that. And so how many of you understand the word song? And somebody said, and I'm a man, I don't do emojis. I love it. I'll take that, my friend. I love it. That is right. So songs in French mean chants, right? How many of we could go into the conspiracy side of things tonight, which actually to me, a lot of those things aren't conspiracy. There's a lot of truth to it. And so in my mind, so whatever side of the fence you're in, I hope that you're just here with an open mind. And I want to also encourage you to do your own homework. So we're going to talk about some theories tonight. We're going to talk about, I see some musicians in here, so I'd love to hear from you in the comments. And let's see, Luke says, I dive into music subconsciously when I grieve, is what he says. It's so interesting how I know, we're going to get into it, how different songs might have gotten us through certain times in our life. But I want you to start to think back to maybe who you were then, right? I know if we're doing this life right, we've all been so many different versions of ourselves. We've been so many different people. And I like to think of it as in this lifetime of mine, this time ago around, it feels as though I've had so many lifetimes in this one. Anybody else understand that? Say, I do, if you understand exactly what I'm talking about. And so I've had different versions as I've move through grief, move through loss, move through maybe even a toxic energy of my own and learn to heal and choose something different. It's interesting to watch the music we were listening to during that time, right? Yes, look at this. I love it. Bible Belt Child says, let's see here. Oh, it went too fast. Guys, I love it. Thank you for being here. Says recorded in 432 hertz is the greatest feeling. I love it. Yeah, Tony says, if it's not working for you, it's not working. Yeah. All right, guys. So, I want you to think about that music. I want you to think about, the frequency that many of these things that we've got playing, and some of us might not even be consciously aware of it. Now, I know if you're here on this channel, you're here for a reason. Typically, most of you, what I find that watch this podcast and that are on the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you guys are old souls. You understand, you're already raising in frequency. You've left that 3D experience and you're now in that 5D creation of understanding energy, right? You are. As Riel says, I'm a massage therapist and vibrating with music gives me peace and healing to gift to my guests. I love that, my friends. Yes. So every word again has such power. Now think of the melody in the chorus, right? When we're reading this, or we're singing these songs, we're in the car and we're just jamming out to, for me, thinking of the old music I used to listen to and understanding that now when I hear this music, there might even be like a cringe because I understand that I was having those words on repeat, on rotation in my mindset. And so many of us I know have felt that we've kind of crawled out of certain energetic lower frequencies in our life. Take a breath with me. And we're here understanding how this music matters, right? And how reciting those words, those lyrics over and over and over, it does absolutely affect our minds, our emotional mindset, our mental health, us even physically, right? Anybody listen to the boom? By the way, I'm a child of, graduated in 1995. Love grunge, love hip hop, love all of that. And I remember so much of that music and even the boom, boom, the big bass. I can feel it inside of my body. Anybody else feel the music to such a degree that you have to change the channel today, like so quickly? I know back then it didn't bother me, but today it bothers me. Anybody bothered by some of the old music that you listen to? Give me a yes. For those of you dudes out there that don't want to do emojis, I respect it, my friends. Yeah, Rod says the illusion of reality is so deep. Christina says definitely. I love that. Yeah, it's true. Somebody said Prince. Prince was aware, wasn't he, my friends? He really, really was. Okay, so I want to tell you about a quick story. I remember it was a Sunday. My twin sister, we were on our way to church. Grew up Southern Baptist, appreciated the way that I, grew up, all of that, but of course have since moved along, still with my understanding of source, God, energy, of course, but understanding it to a different degree. I no longer connect that with an organized religion, if you will. Now, I remember on those Sunday mornings, my twin sister, God bless her, I'm going to throw her under the bus for a minute, but she would play, like, I'm telling you guys, like the craziest music. Think of the 90s, my friends. Who is it? I'm not going to even say it out loud, but think of those bands that were just vulgar. I sound like such a church lady right now as I'm saying it, but vulgar words and energy. And I remember she would jam out to this so loud in her bedroom. And I remember walking in there and getting something and being like, dude, like, oh my gosh, it's like, first of all, I get it, but oh my gosh, it's Sunday morning. We're about to walk into church, right? We're about to walk into this pure space. In my mindset, that's what that was, right? This pure space of light and connection. And that she would be able to almost lay that upon her. Look, I'm seeing Megadeth, Slipknot. It was like Two Live Crew. It was that kind of stuff, which, listen, love it, honor it. I got it. But there's a time and a place, let's say that. And let's say that maybe those were old songs for back in the day, right? But to think that that stuff was blaring, I even, El Denise got it right. Music Man says NIN, closer. Yep, Nine Inch Nails. That's on my list right here. That was something I listened to back then too. To think that we were listening to that and it was just music going in our ears and out is at this point ludicrous, right? Eric says, you're right. Lyrics are mantras, essentially. I love it. Look at all those bands. By the way, so many of those bands, how many of you loved them, right? How many of you love them and it kind of makes you sad to now know and have some awareness with it? I know I just don't think of music sometimes the same, and it does hurt my heart a little bit, right? How many of you are in that? You've kind of mourned your connection with music a little bit. You understand that whatever you're listening to, it's like it's wearing that sleeve of energy, right? And so we become those words. Yeah. Donald says your country, that's hard something to get into. No offense, I think is what he's saying. Um, let's see, music is emotionally driven. It really, really is. So think about it, guys. Think about it. So let's talk about the science. Many people still feel as though that some of this information that it's still theories. If you look at the so some science backing tuning forks and that frequency of energy, the hertz, you're going to find some differing of energy. What's really interesting to me is even today, as I was looking up I wanted to throw some facts out there. What's crazy to me is that it's hard to find some of that science. It's when you're using some of the search engines, some of the common search engines, they don't necessarily want you to have this information. That's how that feels to me. You could take that and go into the world of conspiracy, but that's how that feels to me. It feels like truth, right? I believe that sometimes this higher vibrational information is going to be hidden. It's going to be hidden almost in plain sight. They want you to listen to what's coming on the radio. And the reason they're wanting you to listen to that is because in my mindset, that is it's control, right? It is a sense of programming. How many of you understand that here in this feed? And so when we're listening to those kind of energies, it keeps somebody said slave class is repressed. That's right. And so it keeps us feeling lack, my friends. Take a breath in, exhale that energy out. It keeps us in that space of small energy. We don't understand that God power and frequency and energy within us when we're listening to these things that do not match the higher vibration, this lower grade Hertz energy. And so it was Nikola Tesla, right, who understood this and discovered this. And then I have it written down somewhere. It was 19, unless I'm going to sound like an old person. It was 19, I don't know where it is. I had it somewhere. 53, somebody correct me if that's wrong, but 1953, when they decided that this was going to be like a world international thing where they were not going to allow even the 432 hertz to be kind of put out into the world, right? How crazy is that, my friends? And so many say that the God energy is actually that 528 frequency, that 528 hertz energy. And so it's just very interesting once you start to go into that rabbit hole of information where your mind drifts to. And think of our vehicles. How many of you still to this day have that radio on? Many people nowadays are listening to podcasts like this one, which is great, high frequency. We're opening minds. We're having thought-provoking conversation. But how many people are still jamming out to that low grade energy? And how many of us have those little ones in the back seat jamming out to the same thing, right? How many of us do? So, of course, we know that music can affect our emotions in so many different ways. We can be happy, we can be cheerful, we can feel invigorated and feel like we want to get up and change the world, right? But it's actually producing different chemicals and dopamine, serotonin in that brain. Yeah. 503 Dude says sound. There it goes. Sound frequency can levitate matter depending on the frequency. That's right. Henrik says, I avoid the radio and look for information like this. Thank you, my friend, for being here. And by the way, guys, do me a favor, hit subscribe, hit like, come back. I'm here every Wednesday, and I'd love for you all to make sure that you're following my own personal page too, which is Cosmically Connected with Cortney Kane Sides. Tony says, we live in a microwave. Tony, I'm kind of agreeing with you, my friend. South, let me put that up here. Words are worlds. I like that. There's my friend Bobby. Hi, Bobby, my dear. She's another VIP Inner Circle member. So, friends, again, if you're in the VIP Inner Circle, you're going to get a live intention setting. I'm going to paint for you an energetic painting, and we're going to do that right after our podcast tonight. But you'll have time to go to the website and sign up if you're not already a member in the Inner Circle. And so it's interesting, right? So, of course, that music, it can affect us in those beautiful ways, but it can also evoke really negative feelings, right? If we're listening to music that is really low grade music, you might also feel as though you're sensing aggression. You might be feeling rage, even, right? I know that how many of you, raise your hand or say me in the comments, have different, like I use Spotify, so I have different albums. One's a working out album, and of course you can imagine it's all energetic and it's going to keep me moving, keep me kind of wanting to dance. But I remember going through different moments of life where there's one that just, I don't even remember the name of it, but it's one of those where you just got to get it out of your body, right? But when I think back to that album now, after this is done, I think I'm going to go delete it, because actually just it being on my phone is energy, guys. It's energy. And so I know that it is, I'm one. We're all one. And so if we're allowing that within our vicinity, guys, what are we made of, right? What are we made of? Roy Baxter says meditation music. I love it. Ampu says, I am universal to all kinds of music, current and old. I prefer the old and listening to vinyl. Jazz is my favorite. Brazilian jazz relaxes me the most. I'm a huge lover of all the genres. So I'm not, and never have been fixated on one genre. If it's good music, I love it. But I can tell you now that I listen to so little today. And if I am listening to it, it's because it vibrationally is on another level. You can feel it, the words, the connection. It's adding to me rather than feeling as though it's depleting me and putting me into a state. Okay. Anybody understand when I say that? It's putting you into a state. Think of when you play that music, if you're angry and you're just like, oh, you're mad at this person. I'm thinking of myself 15, 20 years ago when you're like, oh, frustrated. And I remember so quickly going to that music to help either validate my energy at the time. So I would either look for an energy to match me, but what does that do to us? It helps us spin. Take a breath in, my friends. Exhale that energy. It helps spin into the maybe chaos or the toxicity of that lower grade energy, does it not? Rod says, got to be careful with the programming they have in place. I agree. Ooh, Jen says it does connect to memory. It's true. So how many of you guys can listen to a song? You hear that song, it puts you emotionally right back. Think of it. It's putting you not in this current now, in this space of, the work that you've done, but immediately a song can propel you to really a beautiful moment. Let's think of it that way. It can propel us into a really beautiful moment, or it can put us right back into the hole that you might have been at a certain time when you were listening to the song, right? It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing, the power of music. And if we think that we're the only ones that know that, that's crazy. That is why they, right, don't always and have not really allowed much of that music, the music that is mainstream, to be of a vibration that actually is really good for you, for me, for us all, right? It's very interesting. And start to, again, don't listen to me, guys. Do your own research. Do your own research. Queen Chief of Three Kings says, my favorite music group is the Beautiful Chorus. Well, that sounds amazing. Amazing. I love that. And so, yeah, so those low vibrational, that music can take us into a deep, dark hole if we allow it. If we choose to leave that on, if we choose to go back there, we actually will match in vibration with that energy, right? And I know, guys, just like you, life sometimes is lifing in a way that we want to really work on trying to raise that frequency and stay within our light and energetic connection. And so I want you to really start to think about where you're putting your mindset, right? Where you're putting your ears, what you're listening to. And so studies do correlate between exposure to, again, back to that aggressive emotions and behavior, that music, and it can aid in the energy of even your children. So what are they listening to when you're seeing them react, when you're even going back to the way that you might have been really aggressive or going through a really hard time? What were you associating yourself with? What were you, even let's say, watching? What were you watching? What were you listening to? It may correlate to the energy that you were also feeling. Think about it, my friend. Think about it. El Denise says Depeche Mode. Oh, Bobby Allen says, have you heard of Heart Math Institute? They do a lot with frequency. Bobby, I worked for years in the field of neurofeedback. And back then, Heart Math was, this was 15, 18 years ago, and Heart Math was around back then. And so Heart Math, I have heard of it, and they do work with frequency. I think that's great. You can look into things like that, but and also, is it EDM, or what's the music that a lot of spiritual people are kind of playing? You see them at some of the spiritual, I want to call them raves. I don't know what you call them. I'm a little too old at this point maybe to think of those names off the cuff, but I know I do have some clients that are out in, like, they're in Dubai, they're in all of these kind of crazy, amazing, beautiful spaces that are very well known in that field, creating beautiful music that vibrationally helps you kind of expand in your mindset. And so I want you to really kind of look into that. Okay, my friend. Yeah, it's really interesting. So that standard, what they play on the radio, is at a 440 hertz. Guys, look it up. Do the homework. And it was adopted. Here's the year 1953. I have it here on my notes. It was 1953. I was right. The International Organization for Standardization for the Music, they changed it back then. There was a big family wrapped around it. Look this up. It's all public knowledge. It's the R. I'm not going to even say the word, right? But their name of the family, but it was the R's, right? The big family. And look it up. Check it out. And so that the higher frequency, the higher vibrational energy that would have been really beautiful and conducive for us was kind of ripped out from us. And so, we did have some artists that were the Jackafellas. That's right, my friends. That's right. I'm winking at you, my friend. And so Jen says, will this be recorded? It is recorded, guys. Whenever you're watching this playback, you can always go to my Facebook page to get that link. You can always go to Instagram and get that link, but you can also come back to the Forbidden Knowledge platform here on YouTube. You can listen to it on the replay on Spotify, but go to the live, and just, if you go down to the live, you'll be able to find this recording for you. So for sure, thank you, friend, and send it out to your friends that need this information. So I appreciate that and all the support, of course. And so check out history, guys. Check it out and watch this. So even 432 hertz that's good for you. They say it's more harmonic to your energetic body. They say that that's more harmonious to nature, but actually that 528 hertz is actually that God frequency. So if we're going to do this work, why not go direct? That's how I feel. So I want you to yep, somebody's already saying, Darius, he gets it. 432 standard is in harmony with the universe. So again, let's go back to some of the great artists. Yes, Beatles were one of them. John Lennon, right? We've got Bob Marley. He was really starting to make some great music within that hertz. But they certainly don't stick around, right? Once they kind of become aware of this, right? It's true. And so when you're listening to a high frequency music, it's also going to aid in healing. Now that could be very conspiracy, they don't necessarily want to say that music can be healing, but it can be very healing. Look, George Harrison was doing the work too. That's right, he was. And so, yeah, 503 dude. Yeah, check it out. It's really interesting. And so, it's interesting how many people, again, I know if you're looking on the mainstream search engines, you might not find this information. So it definitely is not always out there and as easily accessible unless you've got, connections with a channel like this or another where you're going to have more high vibrational conversations. And it's safe to kind of share these things. It's true. It's really true. So I want to ask you, have you had a song that spoke to you? When you hear it and you're like, oh my gosh, that energy, that feels good. And Is there a song that actually lifts you up in frequency, that you feel like when you hear that, you understand that you're on top of the world when you sing this and hear it? Now, I want you to think of the words of that song. And if you can think of that song, put it in the comments here. Now, I also want you to do the same thing in the reverse. I want you to think of that song. I'm thinking of a song. It was Nine Inch Nails when I was in high school, and I loved that song, right? And oh my gosh, as I think about it now, that song, I'm sure, I'm going to take a breath in, exhale that energy out, was on a repeat within my vehicle, my room, when my parents probably weren't home. And I mean, oh my gosh, I even went to a concert, Nine Inch Nails concert, and guess who opened for them? This was, I think it was 1994, 1995, and it was Marilyn Manson. Marilyn Manson opened for them. Nobody knew who that band or that person was at that moment. And I remember being down on the floor right above the band, and it was, I get chills even talking about it now. I sound again like one of those crazy old women back in the day that says, "Oh my gosh, rock and roll is terrible." And essentially, I guess that is what I'm saying, right? I love music. I do. And I still listen to music, my friends. But when I go, I can't help but watch the energy in the space. When you're awake, we might not really see things the way we did before. And so when we awaken, guys, when we awaken, my friends, it doesn't mean that we have to necessarily not allow ourselves to have these human experiences, but it's making sure that we're protected energetically when we go into moments in spaces like this, okay? Knowing how to protect yourself energetically and spiritually to connect or protect your gifts and abilities, your source connection. It's so interesting, right? I love that you guys are sharing all of that. So again, are you sharing also the let's not share actually the songs that were difficult maybe. Natalie or Natalia says, "How do you protect yourself?" So and you can get this actually in this inner circle. This is one of the archived videos, one of the gifts you get when you join. But I walk you through that vibrational kind of energetic bubble of protection. It's something that I've used. Many of the VIP inner circle members that are here tonight listening, I've seen some of you here. Love you, my friends. That energetic bubble of protection will help you. Now that frequency can still lower your energy, but you have to have that belief that you are protected in that light. You understand? That's how it is to me, though. And so I know that as a feeler, as I'm a psychic medium and I connect to the energy of people all day long. I want to make sure I'm at my highest vibrational, energetic state and awareness, and making sure that we're almost zipped up, right, in our energy, again, is always extremely important. And making sure that we're doing the work, and also, again, practicing what we preach, right? And so when we feel music, I want you just to, if you haven't done this, I want you to start to really take account of the words that are flying across your radio or whatever it is you're listening to. Is it depleting you or is it helping you raise in vibration? That's always kind of what I'm thinking about. There was a moment, I remember my little girl was in the back seat and she was singing. There was that song. The lyric is, I'm bad in love. It recites it over and over. Take a breath in, everybody, as I say it. Cover that myself in the light, right? With that breath, it protects me. It protects us, my friends. And I heard her little sweetheart in the background singing this song over and over. And I had heard that it was on the radio often. And as soon as I heard her singing it, I was like, oh, wait. And I turned it off. It was like, babe, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, Bella says words, spells. It's right. That's what this is. That's what it is. You're singing the lyrics over and over and over. And so When I heard her sing that, I stopped and I really tried to make it a learning moment out of that. I was like, "Baby, we are so good with love, babe. Oh my gosh. We are love. I just did the whole went into it with her, little girl self. And this was probably at least 2 or 3 years ago. She's 9 now. And I'm very aware that's when it hit me. It hit me like, Courtney, what are those songs, those love songs out of like, oh, desperation when that relationship is falling apart? What I was lovingly listening to was really aiding in my low, you call it depression, anxiety, energy. My friends, we have no clue sometimes the power of the energy we are incorporating into our space. And I know so many of you guys are healers and leaders and teachers and energetically raising. And if we are not consciously aware of the energy we're putting around us, um, we're really allowing ourselves to be at just the will of, call it the system, right? When we're learning and listening, we're not learning, when we're listening to that lower grade energy, it does keep us a bit like, in my mind, you can believe what you want to believe about it, but in my mind, it keeps us a bit like sheeple, right? It kind of blinds us to the fact that we have choice. Darius says, I wholeheartedly agree. I love it. Thank you, friend. Bunny Hightail, I agree with you. Taylor, rituals. Think back to some of these concerts. By the way, I loved music so much. I love concerts. I love this, but I can't help but see how many of you have seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, I believe, or the Temple of Doom. It's one of those where they're all in. I've connected with this information before in on the podcast before, but you'll see in somebody says concert amnesia, right? Um, in one of the Harrison Ford movies, right? Somebody tell me exactly which one that is, if you would, please. And everybody's down below there, excuse me, definitely in a ritual type experience. There's the stage, you've got the fire, you've got the people, you've got the drama, and they're all down on their knees chanting, and this huge space. When I am in concerts now, take a breath in, I can't help but see that. And so when I have those moments of being there, Temple of Doom, Ethan and I were just at a concert, I don't know, just a few months ago, and I still am enjoying the space, but I'm consciously aware. So I'm watching as the observer and learning in that moment. So I want you to not be afraid necessarily, because you're the boss. We get to decide, right? Once we're aware and once we're awake, we see it. We see it quite clearly, actually. And so, yes, you guys got it. You understand Temple of Doom. And so look back, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch that and come back and think of all of the concerts you've been to. And dare I even bring up the Travis Scott concert that happened, years ago? Yeah. Bunny says you can't go back to sleep. Once you wake up, you wake up. And then it's our responsibility what we bring into our life and our existence. And if we think that this does not affect our homes, our hearts, our minds, our children, our connection to source, our guides, our angels, our loved ones, our energetic connection to the grid of life, we're crazy. So you waking up and me waking up and the rest of us doing this together, my friends, this is huge. It's a really big deal. And the fact that we can teach our children and grandchildren, and we can band together and just have these thought-provoking conversations where we don't have to change everybody's minds, because we want everybody to have their own thoughts and their own mindset, right? But when it's time for them to understand what's right for them, that's great, right? That's great. I saw somebody speak on Taylor. For a long time, my little girl loves her. I teach, and we have conversations about it. We have conversations on not idolizing anybody. We have conversations about there's a new record as well. And I agree about the concerts. If you see those things, you see the different degrees of symbolism and things that are happening within those concerts, all of it, right? Um, videos, marketing for them. If you're awake, you can't help but see it. So that new record just came out after the movie, and of course, she was like, "Oh my gosh, we have to get it," and it's like, "No, we're not going to get it." She did listen to a couple of them, and they're very depressive, low, and just low grade energy. You can hear it, and that sweet little one was like, "Ooh, I don't like that, mommy." And I knew that I'm teaching her. I didn't demand her not to listen. We teach and we show by example, right? Mm, it's true. Music Man says the concerts are a bigger draw than the music. It's true. Yeah. We're on our consciousness. I agree. I agree. I agree. Mm. Wow. Somebody just said Sam Smith. Go back and look at some of our favorite artists. And listen, it's gotten more in our face, if you will. And the last, I would say, I started to see the downfall of it before it was before COVID. I was talking about it with those very close to me and my family. And I've always, listen, I've always gone out on the limb and been the crazy one, right? Or the one that maybe saw it and was crazy for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years before those conspiracies then end up being true. I see Beyonce. Yeah, I know, right? If you watch how blatant it becomes, you can't help but see the truth of what it is. You can't. And um, again, what might be okay for one person is okay that it's not for the next. But where do you fall in line with that, right? There's another one if you want to talk about watching the decline of an artist. For me, I think of that Doja Cat, right? You can see that decline within even her physically and the decline of that. I think that music was all the music is already at that hurts. It's not working for us at all. But the message behind it becomes so much more blatantly obvious and in your face, but will also then deny what your eyes are telling you, what your energy is showing you. So back to that music, really think of the way that you're leaving, the music that you're listening to, and what are you putting into the front of your little one's ears? What are you putting in your ears, right? Mm. Thank you, Praise Seven, my friend. You're always here supporting, and that means the world to me. And I know for the team here on Forbidden Knowledge Network, many of us. Now, I am a spiritual advisor and have been doing that full time, almost 16 years. I've been doing my work for 20 years now, which is so crazy. I feel like I'm so happy when I say that because I can't believe it. So excited that I never gave up, right, guys? Don't give up on your dream, on doing the thing that you do. But I want to say that there are other podcasters here on the network that actually there's a couple of them that I know have a job. They're working and they are, this is something their heart, their passion. And so when you support the channel and us in that way, Praise Seven, thank you. It means the world to us. I so appreciate it. It allows us to write those books and show up for events and things that are dreamlike. And so that energy, what goes around comes around. I thank you, my friend. Thank you so much. And so, again, thank you for thinking about those songs that you were listening to, right? And so, again, what we're listening to, guys, what we listen to, we become. Who do you want to be? When I think back to those times in my life when I was struggling, right, emotionally, mentally, when life was so difficult, I was really listening to really hard music that was also matching that low vibration within me at that time, right? Taking that breath in, even just when I acknowledge it, you can feel it. It almost puts you back in it immediately. So I almost take that breath in and allow myself to just say, thank you, thank you, thank you for that awareness that is mine. Thank you for that moment, that experience, for being the teacher on my path. Asking nothing but the highest, truest, or the best to manifest upon me now. So even when we have moments where we jump back and we see that different degree of how far we've come, or what we were listening to, what we were saying yes to, because by the way, we're saying yes to it when we leave it on. It also helps me transform now into my higher awareness. And so I want you to understand that you have the power to connect to what you want to connect to, right? Yes. So any repetitive listening, those songs, the chorus, it's over and over. That repetitive listening is going to shape your mindset, even if you believe it is or not. So think about it. It influences our self esteem, even our world view, right? Maybe inciting a separation between us. Think about it, guys. There's some music that brings us together, a beautiful, amazing. But there's so much music out there that's actually out there to try to separate us. And that's not the point of our connection to our spirit, right? We're essentially all one, connecting to this grid of connection as everybody exactly wakes up in the way that only you're supposed to wake up. You're going to find that we become brighter, we become more creative beings, and we're able to really transcend into this life, the kind of experience that we're really wanting to have here. That manifestation's easier, that showing up and loving your neighbor is easier when we're more clear beings. It's true. It is so true. So I love that you guys were thinking back to some of those times, those songs, right? The things that were not serving you. The times that you were having to almost struggle out of those depths of emotions, those moments of pain, grief, even. Let's talk about grief in music. If you're feeling it and you got to work through the pain of it, and that song's going to help you work out of it, then fine, do it, right? But don't sit and stay in it. Don't sit and stay in it. Make sure that you're doing the work to conquer. Make sure that you're doing the inner work to feel, to heal. Absolutely. Crypto Carpenter says, I only let my kids listen to rock early, 70s, 80s upbeat stuff, some country, no rap. I grew up with it in the inner city, but I was a bad kid. I think a lot of stuff I listened to influenced my behavior. It does. I think of my 20s. Oh my gosh, guys, the drinking, right? How many of you, anytime I was partying when I was young and making any of the choices I ever regretted, it was typically around what I thought back then was awesome music and partying and drinking, right? Didn't really serve me, that's for sure. Life could have been a lot easier had I made different choices. Ampu says, yes, grieve, but don't become grief stricken. That's right. It's true. Bella says it's social engineering. That's right. It's like the system. And when we do that, listen, the it's like a repetitive cycle. So the drinking keeps us down. I know when you're older, you can't just recover like you used to, right? And so it takes a day or two to bounce back to get your energy up. And then here's the weekend again. Guys, talk about conspiracy, but what does it do? It keeps us down. It keeps us working for somebody else. It keeps us not creating. It keeps us not in our light. It keeps us not connecting and helping other people heal. It keeps us from becoming that healer ourselves, right? Miller Time says, I'm guilty of listening to rap, but it's mostly conscious rap. I love it. Now, listen, guys, throw on that old school song once in a while, fine. But then zip up your energy, maybe before and after. I'm not here to kill it all, right? That's terrible. We don't want to do that. But to sit in it and have that be the thing that you associate with and you connect with all the time, it's going to take away from your energetic being. It does. Vanchi says, Crypto Carpenter, I feel you on the same height. My kids love all that music from back in the day. My older kids were born in the late 90s. I love it. TNT says, I thought I had to be like the girls in hip hop videos. I attracted all the wrong men. My friends, my ladies on here, how many of you understand that? Those videos, take a breath in, big exhale out. Look at what's happening within the music industry. And this is the thing, I think some of the artists are not fully aware of it, by the way. Some of them are channels for the agenda, essentially, right? They are. Some of them are awake, some of them understand, some of them are perpetuating the bad behavior, sure, absolutely. But some of them are going on and just blind to what they're putting out. Bella says definitely influential. Yeah. So let's think of I want to say we're going to bring her up, Sweet Britney Spears. And I want to say Sweet Britney Spears because anybody followed her rise and dive, how tragic, right? And think of that music. You know, she wasn't even, that label actually made her sing in that key. Anybody know that? If you know that, if you're aware of that, say, I do. I do. Miller Time says, I think most superstars sell their souls. I do too. I do too. I do too, unfortunately. I think that many of us, and listen, I was a girl back in that, Bunny says MK Ultra. Yeah, it's an interesting thing for sure. I was one of those. I perpetuated that celebrity mentality for so many years. I remember, how many people remember the Us magazines that were just the star? I did, yes, I did like all of them, yeah. But the Star magazines, the Us Weekly, the People, all of that. How many of you perpetuated that celebrity for a long time, right? I did. Yeah. And I think back to it and I think, oh my gosh, how gross today. Guys, we have a vision in a way today. And now it's almost being shifted. Let's go there, but it's almost being shifted now to the new influencers, right? Has anybody noticed that, right? Yeah. And it's interesting. I think that we can see when that happens for the celebrity or for the music when it shifts. And think back to Hotel California. Anybody think back to that song? Listen to it. I feel like they almost put it right out there for you. They do. Once you go back, you can't ever come home or something like that. Somebody can tell me the exact verbiage of that lyric. But they do. They essentially do sell it. And I almost think then they put their blinders on so that they're not privy to the energetic impact that they're putting on the grid of connection on the world. Take a breath in, big exhale out, and zip that up. Once you know, you can't unknow. But once you know, you also then don't have to live in that almost the depressive state of becoming consciously aware of it. Because that can be difficult too when you're going through that awakening. It can be really confusing because sometimes we just so blindly want to just put it back on those glasses, those goggles, and we want to just go back to the way that it was, where we were blind, walking around, seeing none of it, the connection. But if you're awakening and you're starting to see these signs and symbols around you, you're hearing the lyrics, you're hearing the music, you're understanding that it's all connected. Take a breath in with me. Exhale out. You're seeing it for a reason. And I believe that reason is because you can help that collective consciousness rise to that next level. We're all here helping each other grow and reset that system, if you will, right? Changing the way that it has been. Ethan says you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. That's that music industry, my friends. They're trapped. They're literally selling their souls. That's why Prince ended up having to change his name to the symbol. Do you remember? Because even after they're gone, think of Marilyn Monroe. Let's think of Elvis Presley. Let's think of all of them. They own their name for a lifetime, my friends. that music lives on. It's a very dark world. It's not something that's going to be always celebrated, right? And then once again, we start to see these connections, it kind of takes the fun out of it, right? But what I want to encourage you to do is start to really find the new fun, start to really awaken in only the way that you can, right? In only the way that you can start to share your light, your heart, your gifts, your abilities. So many of you that are on this podcast, you're wanting to really enhance those gifts and abilities in your creative form, whether that be through art, through writing, through your career, through your psychic gifts and abilities, your mediumship, your discernment. You're wanting to help other people heal through different modalities, or just simply through energetically and an energetic healing. We can't do that if we're bogged down by these lower grade vibrational energies, right? And so I want you to be really brave to say, and turn that radio off. Say, no, that doesn't work for me anymore, right? Essentially, it goes for the TV as well. What are you watching? What are you putting your energy into? And what are you going to start saying yes to? And I think the more that you start to say no to the things that don't serve you any longer, you're going to start to see more things that serve you energetically. And that's what you can start to fill your space and your mind with, right? And constantly question, right? Constantly question. Ask yourself, how does this feel to me, for me? And what feels correct for you might not be correct for the next person. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Britt says, now I only watch empowering channels on YouTube. Awesome, my friend. I love that. Thank you for being here. I hope that means that this is empowering for you as well. And I want you to keep becoming your own master, priceless. Yes, that's right. Because we are that God energy, right? And when there's more and more again of us awakening, and this has been happening for some time, we're just going to continue to get to that higher frequency, that 528, right, my friends? I thank you guys for being here. Do me a favor. Hey, by the way, if you're in Oklahoma, if you're local, I think I have a couple spots left for my in-person session that I've got. So if not, I've got virtual groups coming up that you get to be in if you are a VIP inner circle. It is changing, and I'm so thrilled, so excited. And you get to be part of that VIP group, and I will be picking random people to be read within that group. It's such a beautiful thing, and that's new. Nobody knows that yet. So if you members here, you just heard something for the first time, we're going to talk about it tonight. So guys, I appreciate you for being here. If you are listening, you find great music, listen, tag me in it, send it to me, play it, tag me on Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. Tag Cortney Kane Sides on Instagram. Cortney with no U, by the way. There are some scam people out there. By the way, I will never DM you for messages or anything like that. So do not get bamboozled. Okay, do not get bamboozled. The only time I will offer sessions is if you book your session directly on my website at CourtneyKaneSides.com. And that's that. So again, guys, let's put that up here one more time for you. Everybody, I want you to go join my VIP inner circle. This is where all the magic is going to happen. And it's been great. It's been 3 years in the making, or no, it's been going on for 3 years. Let me rephrase that. And we dive into so many different topics just like this. I bring on thought leaders from around the world, and it's been so fun. If you join now, you get all of those archive videos along with some other little fun things too. That bubble of protection we spoke about earlier, you'll get that, a couple of guided meditations, and even more. Tonight, we're going to jump off here, and I'm going to go live over there to do an intention setting. So go to CourtneyKaneSides.com, select offerings, and hit VIP Inner Circle and become a member. It's for less than a cup of coffee a month. Okay, my friends, if you are in that group, you will get all of the VIP treatment, my friend. Yeah. I love you, friends. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Ooh. Thank you. Just saying that I almost got bamboozled just yesterday. Someone wanting to give me a reading. Don't fall for it. If anybody ever messages you and say, "Oh, I can feel your energy from this picture from your thing." I see friends that will message me and say, "Is this legit?" And I'm like, never, never. Anybody good, you will seek out somebody who good at being in their own energetic space and helping other people will never come like be like, "Oh, let me tell you about you." And if they do, they're not in their own bubble of emotional health and healing for them. And so that should be a red flag, just FYI. Okay. Another thing, guys, we have in Miami. Who's coming to Miami? I just got chills on my leg. I know there's got to be some of you that already have your tickets for the Conscious Awards, right? How many of you? How many of you? I can't wait to see your I'm coming. Say I'm coming to Miami or just say Miami in the comments. Get your tickets. If you purchase your ticket for the Conscious Award, Dr. Strange, you're coming. I'm so excited. Yep, Mr. Brinkley is going to be there. Come, guys. You are going to connect with everybody that you've ever seen here on the Forbidden Knowledge Network. So many cool, amazing people. Last year it was so amazing, high vibrational time. Let me tell you, it's going to be August 3rd, 4th, actually 4th and 5th. I'm trying to, no, that's not right. Ethan, give me the date. August 3rd and 4th, I think. It's going to be that Saturday, that first weekend in August, and that Sunday. So the first Saturday, we're going to have a beautiful conference with a panel of amazing women. We've got Elizabeth Hoekstra, we've got Ashley Joy Boyd, we've got myself, we've got Olivia Smith, and we've also got Kika, who also has a podcast here on the network, so she's going to be there. We also have an amazing men's panel that's going to be talking. You're going to see also that Anunnaki film on Saturday, and then Saturday evening, guys, there's a yacht cruise with 19 Keys. He's hosting this amazing cruise for the Forbidden Knowledge Awards, and it's going to be amazing. So we'll all be there. Cannot wait to see you there. I see so many of you people saying you're going to be here. Fair Use says Miami bound. Good. And then Sunday, again, the Conscious Awards. It's going to be such an incredible show. If you buy your ticket for Sunday, you get to come to the conference for free. So make sure you get your ticket for the yacht cruise Saturday night, and you get your ticket for the for the Conscious Awards, and then you will be able to come to the conference. So anyway, guys, listen, I'm going to jump off here. Go grab your seat. Go become a VIP Inner Circle member. Right now it's $11 a month. You get that rate forever. There's other, again, thought leaders that from across the world coming in there, but you've got me. We're going to connect to your guides and angels in that group. We're going to connect to all of little, conversations like tonight, healing. We're going to connect to your guides and angels and your loved ones on the other side, bringing forth messages for you too. So my friends, I love you so much. I will see you later.